Welcome to Running on Reddit r/RegularRevenge, where revenge is best served any way possible. Happened a few years ago. Whilst the car was parked, some teens thought it would be fun to climb on my car. I got in the car. One of them thought it would be fun to open the passenger door, where my wife was. I just drove off as fast as I could. The one teenager's hand was caught in the door handle, dragged him a few feet before he fell. Seen him a couple of days later with his arm in a cast and in a sling. They never bothered me again. Who would think that jumping on a car, let alone getting in with people they don't know, would be a great idea? Not a big brain move. So, this happened over 20 years ago. I had decided to leave my second career to start a third one, teaching. I had been accepted into an advanced summer program to train teachers and was subbing at a local district until the program began. You couldn't really call it teaching, but I liked the challenge of getting a different subject and age group on a daily basis. I really put that liberal arts background to good use. Teachers started to request me, and I was working every day. At the high school, there was this one kid, a senior. Isn't there always? He played a sport every season, whatever position there was for a large chunky guy. This tool decided that I was an easy target. He was insolent in a show-offy way, looking over his shoulder to make sure his teammates were laughing. He would continually bait me, trying to get me to lose my temper and entertain the class with a breakdown. This never happened, and sometimes the jocks laughed at my response to his goad. This made it personal, and he intensified his jerk act in response. When he walked into a class that I was subbing, his eyes lit up with glee, thinking of all the fun he could have in the next hour at my expense. Well, one day he turned to some friends and started talking about these great brownies he has. He offered to sell some for $15 a pop. What an idiot. He didn't even try to lower his voice in front of me. Did he think I was that ignorant? Did he think I lived in a cave? I was inwardly doing smirking cartwheels. Walking down the stairs the next period, I ran into the school SRO, school resource officer, a town cop who spends his time at one or more schools. Too easy. I didn't even have to search him out. Hey, Officer X, I heard something today that's probably nothing. SROs love to hear this, how they get most of their information. So I told him about the jock. I didn't even say his name, just described him, and the SRO knew right away who I meant. I told him about this guy's personal bake sale. Adding $15 seems like an awful lot for a brownie. Cop's eyes light up like this kid did when he saw I was his sub. The cop told me the next day that my hunch was a good one, but I heard the deets from the teachers. Apparently, as soon as he was taken aside and questioned, he cried like a baby and rolled on everyone he sold a brownie to, which included a lot of athletes and 2 National Honor Society members. Since they had eaten their brownies right away, they were all high as fudge and got busted. Everyone got suspended for a week, the kid for 2. As this was May, that meant that he and his friends couldn't play in the end of season tournaments. One of the NHS guys got his acceptance or scholarship rescinded. I felt bad about this, but I had no idea this idiot would roll on his friends. That act cost him big. His friends became former friends, and he was pretty well ostracized for the few weeks left of school. Oh, and he was over 18, so he had a record. I entered my program and got a job teaching at a different district, so I never heard what happened to the guy. What I did to him was nowhere near as bad as what he did to himself. What a tragic ending. Suspensions, scholarships rejected, friends lost. Perhaps if he had lowered the price, things might have been different. So, a few years back we had some pretty crappy neighbors who lived upstairs from us, who basically partied at least twice a month. Bear in mind, we live in the UK, and it is actually illegal to even honk your car after 11 PM, so they knew they were in the wrong. Not to mention, we could hear everyone's feet stomping the floor dancing. So we went through the normal notions of calling the local council, knocking on their doors, but they persisted their partying, and also tried to intimidate me. What they didn't realize is that I'm a huge, massive music fanatic, and I love my high quality sound, which also meant that I knew their speaker was low quality and, quite honestly, tripe. So, I decided to make my move the very next morning starting 8 AM and just thought to myself, I feel like such a pickle because I'm going to ruin the neighbors on either side of me too, but duck it. I value my sleep and these guys have done it every month for at least 6 months. So I woke up with 3 hours sleep after my family went to work as they worked weekends, removed everything off my shelves as the bass from speakers have literally caused belongings to commit suicide before, opened up all my windows and blasted the loudest and heaviest dubstep, heavy metal, drum, and bass music I could find and think of. The music was so loud that I had to physically remove myself from my house because I could literally feel the floor shaking and the liquid in my body vibrating. And while I was outside, my next door neighbor, who was a sweet little old lady, came out and looked at me. I have never felt so ashamed and disappointed in myself for waking this little old lady as I looked her in the eye. I'm so sorry if I woke you up, but that dumb behead upset. No worries, keep going. Can you get any louder? At this point, I felt like we had a bit of mutual understanding, so I saw that as my green light to harass them until 12 PM, so I gave her a little heads up that things from her shelf might start falling. I head back into my home, pause the music in case the vibrations from the water in my body might kill me, and find the deepest and lowest bass loop my speakers can handle. Face my subwoofer to the wall and just played it on loop and continued to blast that for another 4 hours until 12 PM. It's been at least 2 years and I haven't heard a party since. The sweet old lady is the GOAT. Rest in peace, party people. If you like the content and want to support the channel, like and subscribe right now or you'll be running on fumes. Last week, I got off work and took the bus home. It was rush hour and I had to wait for the 5th bus to be able to step in. I found a place beside a girl, put my backpack between my feet while people pushed to get in. The doors closed and I had some space to breathe. Next stop, this lady got on the other side of the girl. She was not young, but definitely not old. I'm guessing around 50, but she checked all the boxes of a woman that plays the older card to get her way. As the time and stops passed by, the girl pushed against me more and more. I was having some trouble breathing normally, but I could see the lady was taking up space and forcing the girl against me. 8 stops later the girl got off, and the bus pretty much emptied, leaving the lady beside me. I was still about 10 stops from home, and with every passing minute, I could feel the lady laying against me, not even trying to hide it. I tried pushing back a bit to let her know, but she was playing dumb, I guess. Now, the last 3 weeks I've been having crazy hours because some changes on personal at work and was not on the greatest of moods. Also, I hate people that use their rage as an excuse to being buttholes. I'm a 26-year-old female but look 15. So, I stopped pushing back or moving aside and let her put all her weight on me. When I saw she was no longer holding on to something to keep her balance, I just took a step away from her and watched her fall to the floor. I just turned my head to her and laughed a bit. Taking her face as reference, I'm guessing she said something, but I was wearing headphones so just smiled at her and turned away. I got off on my stop, and it was raining cats and dogs. I took out my umbrella and quickly made my way out. Waiting on the light change, I see the lady walking under the rain, completely wet. I made eye contact with her and laughed, crossed the street, where my brother was waiting for me in the car. I got on while she stood online waiting for a taxi. It was a good day. That's what happens when you push your weight around. It always comes back. Let me know in the comments below about a crazy experience you saw on a bus. Signed the lease on my current apartment on December 27th, 2017. Start date on the lease was the 28th. Did the walkthrough and notated every single thing. Scuff marks, sloppy paint jobs, dozens of nail holes, ding corners, cracked linoleum tiles, stains, spray paint on the doorknobs and microwave, etc, etc, etc. Clearly a classy place. Anyway, I turned in the page they gave me and another 2 pages of notes listing every single tiny thing that I could find that wasn't perfect. That should have clued them into the kind of person that I am, but I guess not. Before the final signing on the 27th, I talked with the apartment manager and asked if I could start bringing stuff in but not actually take possession until the 1st, since they still needed a day or two to shampoo the carpets and repaint some spots. She said yes, of course, no problem. But the date on the lease was still the 28th of December 2017. I bring over boxes on the 28th, plug in the fridge to get it cold for when I bring over foodstuffs on the 1st, bring over more boxes, and call it a day. The 29th, I bring more stuff and check the fridge and notice the fridge is kinda cool and the freezer is room temp. Not cold at all, let alone freezing. I catch the office lady just before they close that day on Friday the 29th. Explain the fridge seems to be broken. It's a provided appliance, specifically listed in the lease along with a stove and dishwasher. She says no problem, tasks a maintenance guy to check on it with me. He takes 2 minutes to say, it's broken. I'm like, yep, that's why you're here. So, how do we fix it? I'm moving in on the 1st. Oh, okay, that's okay. I'll just get a good one from an empty apartment and switch them out. Great. I leave to get more boxes. I'm moving what I can with my car while also working full time. Planning to borrow my dad's truck on the 31st to bring over my bed, foodstuffs, and other large furniture. 30th rolls around. Still no fridge. Call office. No answer because it's Saturday. 31st. Sunday and New Year's Eve. I bring the rest of my stuff. Put food in the kinda cool fridge hoping it won't spoil. Call office again. No answer. January 1st. Monday. Surely now I can get some help. Haha, no. New Year's Day. Office is closed of course. I still drop off rent in the rent box. January 2nd. Tuesday. And, office is still closed, because no one likes to work with a hangover, I guess. Most food now is either definitely off, or at the very least untrustworthy. I tossed about $80 worth of food, but not before taking a photo of it all. I'm officially pissed off now. Wednesday morning, the 3rd, I'm at the office at 7:55 am, just as the apartment manager rolls up to open up for the day. She still looks hungover. Must have been one hell of a New Year's. Meanwhile, I haven't had a working fridge for 3 days that I'm counting, and had to toss a lot of food. I'm not happy to say the least. Still, I politely but tersely told her what was going on, showed her the picture of lost victuals, and was promised I'd have a fridge that day. I go to work. Get home at 11 PM. Still no ducking fridge. I do some googling, and it takes a while, because the info was not readily available, but I finally find the owner's contact info. I call around 1 am, leave a detailed and noticeably upset voicemail, and go to bed. Wake up, go to work, come home that night, and finally the fridge fairy has blessed me with a visit, and I find a working damn cold box in my kitchen. It's in the middle of the kitchen floor at a weird angle instead of in the spot made for it, but whatever. I'm happy the whole ducking thing is over, and I can focus on unpacking. That was January 4th, 2018. Needless to say, not a good first impression of the place. Sorry for the long exposition. Now on to the malicious compliance. 2 weeks go by, and I come home to a note on the door saying I owe $XX.XX in back rent. Back rent? I haven't even been here a whole month yet. I go to the office to see what's up, and get told that I didn't pay for the first 4 days of my lease, and that I had to pay that by the end of the month, or face a fine. Tried to remind them. That apartment manager said I could take possession on the 1st since they still had to carpet clean and stuff, and was politely told to go suck a pickle because the lease says December 28th, and also duck your mother. Well, that's what I heard anyway. But, okay, I see now. You want me to abide by the lease? Fine. I will. But so will you. I get a money order for the amount and return half an hour later and slam it on the counter. Apartment manager is there too, kinda avoids my eyes, takes the money order and starts to walk back to her office. By the way, I'll be deducting 8 days of rent from February's payment. Just a heads up. Cue surprised double take. What? Why? You can't just not pay the full amount of rent. You'll be fined. Then, I pulled out my phone, already loaded to the applicable section of our state's tenant-landlord laws, and read off the part that basically says, if an amenity or appliance, provided by the property owner, or a guaranteed utility such as water or heat, is listed in the lease as being the sole responsibility of the owner, and if that amenity, appliance, or utility is unavailable to the tenant for any number of days during their lease with the owner, then the tenant may subtract that many days worth of rent from the next month's rent, or receive a refund of same, if it is the last month of their lease. Confused silence. I explain. That means that, as you say, my lease started on the 28th. That means I didn't have a working fridge for the first 8 days of my lease. That is double the amount that I just paid you for my back rent. Therefore, come February, I'm going to legally and rightfully withhold 8 days of rent because you couldn't honor our lease agreement and get me a working fridge the day I asked for it. Then she kinda shook herself, asked me, please wait one moment, while she made a phone call. I sit down and pull up Reddit. 10 minutes later, she comes out with my money order and asks me to take it back. This was all just a misunderstanding, and let's just forget about all of this. Big smiles, big smiles. Hide the panic, hide the panic. I returned her smile and told her I can't do that. That money order is already addressed to the apartment complex. I can't cash or deposit it. And besides, you guys were the ones that said I had to abide by our lease agreement. I just did, and now you will too. Cue cool guy exit, double finger guns, and dozens of cheering onlookers. Pew pew pew. Ah, no, I just got my stuff and said welp, guess I'll see ya on the 1st. Have a good one. And I left. February 1st rolls around, and I drop off my money order for rent minus 8 days, along with a reminder note of why that is, and I didn't hear a single ducking word about it. Justice was served, lukewarm. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and turn on the bell or you'll be running on fumes. See you in the next video.